Hi there, I'm Beth from messymarriage.com, and today I'm talking about another reader's question on a sticky issue in marriage. And this is a wife who has an issue with communication. She answered my questioning marriage survey that I put on my blog, messymarriage.com. Well, she didn't give me a whole lot of background or information. She only said that she wants to know how to get her husband to communicate with her. Well, the second question was really about, well, what's not working? What have you done that hasn't worked for you? And she said that she's pouted and she's yelled. So she knows those are not good ways to respond, and she knows that's probably only made the situation worse. But that's where she's at, and that's what she's done. And I can totally relate. I can relate to both the pouting and both the yelling because I started out early in my marriage a major pouter. Yeah, I was a pouter. My husband would want to know what's going on, and if I was upset, that's the way I let him know that I was upset. Well, at some point he wanted me to be more open with him, and after maybe a year or so of marriage, I finally relented and started to open up. But my only way of opening up was by yelling when I was angry about something, because I just couldn't work up the courage to tell him how I felt without yelling at first, initially. And so he got a little bit more than he bargained for in those early days, and it really made things messy. Because the reality is, as a man, most men generally have a little bit of trouble dealing with conflict or opening up and telling their wives about how they feel about something. So communication for men in general, I'd say, is a challenge. So I can totally relate to this wife's feelings of frustration, wanting that to be something that's easier for her husband to do, but she's kind of made it harder for him rather than easier. So here's what I would suggest. Now, when I look back on those years when we were not communicating, or we were not communicating very well, I mean, our communication really stunk early on. I look back and I see some ways that I worked at that, and my husband too, but I reflected back on what I did. And so I'm going to give her some, and all of you, some steps to take. And today I'm going to unpack 3 of them, and I'll unpack 3 more next time, because there's a lot to this. There's really a step-by-step process that can, I think, help a couple, help a wife to open up those those lines of communications with her husband. But it's one of those things that she's going to have to be really intentional about and really focused on going slowly and gradually so that they both can move towards each other in this. So here's what I did, maybe not quite so specifically like this, but I wish I'd had this pattern back in those days. But I will say that it was something that God worked in my life to bring about. And so here I am telling you what I learned. First of all, what I would suggest to her is to find a godly girlfriend, somebody that she really trusts, that she can begin to share with, not in a way to bash her husband, but in a way to unpack and to process what she's feeling and what her part is. That's the crucial point of this, that they are looking for what is her part in this that's making it worse, and what is it that she can do better. So those 2 women will meet regularly, either over the phone or in person, which is the best way, I think, to meet with your accountability partner, and to open in prayer, and then to discuss what are some of the things that you're doing that are not helping, that are hurting this dynamic, and what are some things that you can do to make it better. And that's what the idea behind that would be. And the best way to make this work is for it to work both ways. So your accountability partner would also open up on occasion about some struggles in her own marriage. So if she's doing that on a regular basis, and she's also tapping into the outlet of the Lord and prayer journaling. I am a big proponent of prayer journaling. That means writing out what you pray and processing out what you feel. Tell God everything. He knows it anyway. So just tell him like he's that best friend, because he is your best friend, and he will start to reveal through those prayer journalings what you need to see and how God's word and his truths can transform the way you're responding to your husband. Now, the second thing I would do is to begin to adjust your expectations. Now, that's going to naturally happen if you're meeting with this godly friend and your prayer processing. God's going to reveal, oh my goodness, so much that will help you to see how to adjust your expectations. But you really need to be paying attention to that in the day-to-day as you interact with your spouse. See when you are being unrealistic or making it difficult for him to come close to you in any kind of way, but especially in the communication ways of your relationship. Now, the third thing that I would suggest is to affirm him daily. So let's say you're meeting with your accountability partner in your prayer processing for, let's say, 2 weeks. You do that consistently for 2 weeks. She's praying for you daily, you're praying for her daily, you're prayer processing daily, and you're meeting with her, let's say, weekly for 2 weeks. Then the next 2 weeks, you begin to affirm him daily. Adjust your expectations and think through those encounters that you have with him differently. So you do that for 2 more weeks. Then the following 2 weeks, you begin a habit of affirming him daily. Now, that can be really challenging if you are in a relationship where communication has come to a grinding halt. You might feel very bitter towards your mate. And so I would, again, begin to pray and ask God to open your eyes to the way that your mate is doing something right. It might be that at the beginning stages of affirmation, you're looking at ways that he's a good father or a good breadwinner, or good at even hanging out with his friends. What does he do to be a friend to them that's really good and inspires you? So you start there, affirming him daily for 2 weeks. And then we're going to come to the next step, which is a little more challenging. It involves a lot more involvement from you, but it takes it to another level. So I hope you'll stick around, come back next time to watch what I would say next is that next step. Now, we're talking from beginning to end. This is a 6-week process so far. So you got to do it for the long haul. So I hope you're committed to that, and I hope you'll come back and watch what I say is the next step in this process. I'm hanging in there with you. It's really worth it, believe me. And I'll see you again next time.